concerned about trouble and trying to irresponsible, one-sided news stories.
Sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Hey everyone, Dave here, December 1773. With me as always is Ryan, and this is episode 37 of The Weekly Show, all the week's hottest topics with a twist. As always, be sure to subscribe to our channel, and more importantly than that, than the subscriptions, is the liking and the commenting of the videos. Make sure you comment, engage, and we will be liking, commenting back.
I agree. Comment. Gotta comment. I do it personally. I don't like videos for whatever reason. It's not necessarily I don't like the content, but I do comment on the people I do like. Even if I just comment, I really do that. Sometimes I just comment thanks. I like. Comment like. I do that. So
it's a weird thing on Facebook. It's so normal to just scroll through and like stuff, even if you don't really like it all that much. But on YouTube, it's for whatever reason, I'm less likely to dole out the like or the comment.
Yeah, it is odd. It's like your time is more valuable on this platform than the others for a particular reason over the other. And to go further on your point, on Facebook, not only can you like it, there's like 7 emotions, and you can push and hold and extend your ability of liking. You can love things, David.
You can love them. You can care. You can be mad. You can be sad. You can cry. So yeah. On YouTube, for whatever reason, the likes and the comments, I don't know, it seems less likely to like or comment, and I do it too, but we need to change that.
You gotta change your practices, man.
Let's just pretend this is Facebook, and then everybody can just like and comment all over the thing.
Hold on, David. Hold on. To go further, this would be on Facebook for you to just scroll by and like, but they shut down our page. They really are trying.
Well,
I found out this week, I don't normally take care of the Facebook page. I've been transparent about that before with this podcast. That's more Dave and the other guys on the channel. So, like, me is this. This is what you see of me putting in the content. So I clicked on the December thing today and got notifications, and I went to them, and then I saw a red banner. I was like, holy crap, we're, like, getting threatened to get taken down for all these things. And I screenshotted it and sent it to all the other guys. They're like, yeah, no, this has been a thing for a while.
So a year or so.
Yeah, so this would be like a thing that you could just scroll and like, but
to go even further than that, they blocked my ability to run ads on the page for like, I don't know, let's call it a year and a half. I don't know the exact timeline.
So when Steven Crowder is fighting this, he's literally fighting for us as well, like independent content creators.
So the second I noticed that was happening, I sent a message to Facebook and they said, well, we'll look into it or whatever. Like, literally a year later, I got a message back. Oh, you can, we've cleared it. You can run ads and stuff again. It's like, well, I don't even want to now.
Yeah, why would I give you money?
After the experience I've had.
They didn't go to a court. You didn't have a jury trial of your peers there. You weren't able to have the ability of being innocent before guilt. It's so funny. It's just their like arbitrary opinion.
Yeah, you can go like us and follow us on Facebook if you want, and Instagram and whatever, but you won't see our stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Headlines. Ryan, I may need your assistance pronouncing this. I heard her name many times, and for whatever reason, it's been so long since I've heard her name, I don't even know what it is. Is it Ghislaine?
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 Maxwell charged with sex trafficking of 14-year-old girl. Ghislaine Maxwell was the Jeffrey Epstein counterpart, I guess you would call it.
They called her a mistress or something, right? Her.
Yeah, I don't know. She was.
You know what's so funny is we know more
Epstein's
about
pimp.
her than that guy.
Yeah, she was Epstein's pimp. I think there's no other way to put it. She was the one who was in charge of gathering all the girls for Epstein.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
On their island of pedophilia and cameras and microphones, allegedly.
Right.
That kings and queens nephews and, powerful politicians and,
Princes,
I don't know.
presidents, and
presidents.
actors, allegedly.
Allegedly.
We did talk Epstein a long time.
Epstein.
We talked Epstein a long time ago on episode 2 of this podcast. Conspiracy Cast.
Yeah, well, it's not important, so who cares? You know what's so funny, David? They make us pronounce Kamala Harris right, like it's an attack, but God forbid the woman that, I don't know, was leading women to an island of pedophilia. We don't even hear about this lady. With a crazy name, too. We don't even don't know how to say her name.
Last time I heard her name was...
I talked a few weeks ago about Overton Window. That's this, dude. I mean, we get it in the news every day. It's ridiculous. I'm gonna get to that with one of the revelations out of New York State this week. But yeah, it's ridiculous.
I don't know. I find it hard to believe that we didn't hear anything about that for so long. But somewhat related to that,
they're now trying to tack on a sex charge to her because they've on one count of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't forget. But died in their custody. There's probably never been an investigation. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. I could talk about 10 hours about stuff like this. It's so crazy.
Well, the funny thing is, somewhat related to this, things people have been talking 10 hours about, probably daily on their stupid news sources. Headlines! Matt Gaetz says DOJ investigating him for sexual misconducts. He claims it's an extortion plot.
And that's the representative from Florida, correct? That they're saying he talked to a 17-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm. And who knows? I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. Allegedly. If I like consistency. If he did, that's inappropriate. It's gross. Shouldn't do it. We'll see.
Yeah.
Let's let the courts hash it out. I'm a big believer in due process. That's why I don't like the believe all women thing. And I certainly don't believe the fucking media.
Yeah, how can I believe them and hold them credible? What's funny is he doesn't have anything to bury that in the headlines with, so he's got to get caught.
They'll be perfectly silent about Andrew Cuomo's and his 8, 9, 10. What is he even up to now?
I don't know. I can have 3 ounces of weed on me. I don't care.
Accusers are accusers. Again, due process. We'll let it happen.
Dumb.
This one, I don't know. This one got me fired up a little bit. You know how I feel about the kneeling thing. This takes it to another level. Headlines. U.S. Olympic Committee gives green light to kneeling for anthem and other political speech.
So we're going to go involve our American politics in an international affair?
Well, yes. Here's the other thing. These athletes who represent us in the Olympics are doing just that. They're representing their country in the Olympics. Yeah. And I don't know. I feel if you're gonna take the honor to represent your country, but if do you really mean what you say? You have issues with our country. Why would you represent them in the Olympics? Is it just convenient for you? I mean, I don't.
There was a black gentleman. I forget what year it was, but I think the picture I seen is in black and white, and he raised his hand during the Olympics. He got fined and in trouble, and his teammates also. There was something with the teammates. I remember reading a story about him years and years ago. So
yeah, I mean, it was. Yeah,
they had to change.
Yeah, they had to make a change to allow this. They weren't allowed to do political speech during the Olympics.
I don't think you should be allowed political speech at the Olympics, primarily because it's an international affair. So why are we involved? Could you imagine if there was Hong Kong demonstrations at the Olympics?
Yes. Another thing we have been able to forget thanks to the media.
Because they were going to hold one of the Olympics over in Asia there, and there was some problems with human rights violations.
I saw something with the Hong Kong thing. Somebody
So
Who said it? Somebody said something about the January 6th riots. They're like, if you got a problem with the January 6th riots, but you were out there championing Hong Kong, we're going to have a talk.
that's a good point, David.
That's a little inconsistent, don't you think?
That's a good point. People had a redress of their grievances of their government, did they not? That they're lawfully allowed to?
That's what I thought the Hong Kong thing was. But they're not lawfully allowed to do it in Hong Kong.
Oh, yeah, because I forget. Never mind. I'm not even going to get into it. When Hong Kong was given back to Japan by the British, which we forget this all happens because the royals allowed a smokescreen in media, just like presidents. They get the smokescreen of being scumbags. So when they gave it back to Hong Kong, they're like, yeah, you're going to be able to be guaranteed your same rights that you were given under an English colony, which was due process, which was civil liberties, like, I don't know, freedom of speech and freedom of press and things like that. And then, naturally, government got greedy. And I don't know everything about it, but that's why they're protesting it, and that's why it was such an issue. It's because they were like protesting their ability to protest, because the rights that they were given and guaranteed by their government were taken from them.
And that's
They
why
don't have firearms there, so they were using, I don't know, Molotov cocktails. And they had all those umbrellas. Do you remember the umbrella protests so that they couldn't shoot tear gas and they would bounce off the umbrellas?
Yep. It's fascinating. We were talking about civil rights. Seems like, I don't know, just last week. That's the problem when people view rights as something given by government.
They're recognized by your government. It's so crucial.
It's very different.
You know what's scary too is politicians know it's called legalese. I've talked about it before. It's legalese. The word "the" when I say it to you is not the same as "the" in a legal document. They're not the same thing. And that's why courts have invented legalese, which is where law comes from, and it allows them to like define rights, the things we're against, like how they just grant you privileges. They know that words are important, and they use that with your ignorance as the average American. When they talk about equality and equity, for example, equity and equality are not the same thing. Quality of outcome and equality of opportunity are not the same thing. But they mix these things because you don't separate the difference because we don't know about them. And luckily, smart people have the internet and they have told us about these things so we can discuss them as average people. But yeah, this is the contest of liberty. This is what they meant by, like, I don't know all these bills. I don't know all these things. I don't go in detail, but people do. And if I listen to the right people, I get what I need out of them. And then I can tell that to all my friends and family. Like, look, should be against some of this shit. Because we're allowing X and Y and Z happening. We're allowing the defining of rights. Civil liberties is like, it what got me active, Like, it's so crucial. And I'm still learning what they mean. Like, the true definition of freedom. Like, that's something you have to rationalize with every day. Am I free driving? Is it a privilege? Is it a right? Like, you have to like rip so much apart.
And that's why we make such a big deal about when people just start changing definitions to fit their own context. It matters. It very much matters.
I was telling my mother last night, legislation, we'll get to it, but with marijuana in New York State, for example, many would call that late to the party, right? Like the legislation is behind the times, right? We've heard this in many other areas. And legislation is either ahead of the curve or behind. You know what I mean? That's how they pass bills. We either pass bills late or we pass bills early, and then they always have to go back and fix bills. You know what I mean? Like they have to readjust some things, or there was some problems with the bill. Like the SAFE Act, for example, was a problem. They had to take things off of that. But they pushed it through as like a necessity, but it wasn't thought out. And my point is, like, they use that gray area. That gray area is us, man. Society is that gray area. But they legislate out of ability, not out of practicality.
And they sell it as if they're legislating out of necessity.
Yeah, they create, and sometimes they create a problem, they offer the solution, and then they pose as saviors. But like, look at what I did. It's like, yeah, it was your problem to begin with. That's like me lighting my house on fire and then putting it out and saying that I saved my house.
Yeah.
Which I did, but I started the fire.
Yeah. Well, I would say this would fall into that category. Headlines. Biden will reportedly announce a $3.5 trillion tax hike to fund his infrastructure bill. Because, again, the infrastructure is crumbling, and my God, we need government to save us. But, Ryan, who's in charge of infrastructure in our country right now?
The government.
Oh.
Well, you know what the government's solution is already? You know, it's funny, he wants to raise all this money through taxes. New York State taxes you every time you drive on the thruway for maintenance.
And then they also tax you every time you fill your car with gasoline, if I'm not mistaken.
And a tractor-trailer that, I don't know, transports all the goods into my city for me to eat pays more than my car. Because it hurts the thruway more or something.
Yeah, I don't know. So this infrastructure bill, like...
Then they complain about the price of food and how kids can't afford to eat. It's so dumb. I mean, literally, food is expensive. Do you know that in New York, like in Buffalo, New York, I live 5 miles from there. I can drive there and I could walk there in a couple hours. Walk to a city. You know what I mean? It's a couple miles from my house, 10 miles. We make cereal here. General Mills cereal.
Yes, and when you drive downtown, you smell it.
You smell Cheerio.
It's a good thing, though.
It's great. Refreshing. I love it. But my point is, when I go buy a General Mills box of cereal at the store, it's still $4 or $5. They make it here. We make the cereal here. It should be like $1. We made Coca-Cola in Niagara Falls, which once again is like less than 15, 20-minute, 30-minute drive somewhere in there. It's right there. We were selling Coke for 99 cents 2-liter here. That might be nationally, but we made Coke here. You know what I mean? No, it wasn't 99 cents nationally.
I can tell you right now, if I go to my local Tops, and I'm only 2 hours south of you, if I go to my local Tops, it's all day $2.
Yeah, dude, we were two 2-liters for $1, dude. Like, come on.
But they'll run sales. I mean, you can buy whatever. Right. But yeah, no. If you just normally no sale, go to the store, try to buy it, $2 all day.
Yeah, and they've actually moved Coca-Cola out because they were poisoning the environment for whatever reason the plant was doing it. But my point is, like, we make the cereal here, and it's like it's got to be because of taxes and all these other things. Like, how is it not super cheap if my town makes the freaking thing? If I buy something off you, pretty much, you have a cost of growing something, and if I buy it from you, I should be able to get it cheaper.
Yeah, because I'm cutting out middlemen shipping the thing all over the country, and stocking it on shelves and whatever the case may be. There's a lot of cost that goes into putting a product on the shelf.
All right, back to your infrastructure thing. So he wants to tax all, raising taxes, which okay, sounds great. We do need infrastructure. All right, let's dig into this a little bit. Once infrastructure, why don't we just offer it to private contractors to fix the shit? Why don't we hire, instead of like having this government, because once we said, the government controls some of these states' infrastructures, and there's problems with it. So I'm sure they're not going to talk about government corruption or government contract corruption or government bloat or too much funding in certain departments. I'm sure there's not going to be a trimming of government resources. They want to give them more resources. When I bet you, I'm sure people have done a cost analysis that it's cheaper for a private business to maintain a road than the government.
Oh, I guarantee it.
Yeah, I guarantee it as well. And their plan is to tax people. And who are they going to tax, Dave? The rich people. And then what are the rich people going to do? They're going to hire less people. They're going to lower their standard of living. They're going to do whatever with their business. And all the ones that can afford it are going to fucking move out of here. All the ones, they'll adjust their business models for their own profit. Like, they always talk about corporate greed, which I'm against corporations lobbying government for contracts and stuff, for example. But I think you create, like, selfish corporations when, some of the policies I think can... It seems at least that it would hurt them,
Well, I guess that brings about the point is who's selfish. When you say you create selfish corporations, like, people get mad at Amazon. Well, Amazon doesn't pay.
Yeah.
Amazon doesn't pay tax.
Yeah, neither do you. Neither do you with your $10,000 return, and you only paid $9,000 to the government, but you got $10,000 tax return. Right? That happens. Lower. Yeah. They say Fox News runs the statistics. People in poverty don't pay taxes, man. The people with all the kids, people with all the poverty and all the food stamps, I'm not knocking them. I'm just stating a fact. Their benefits outweigh what they pay into the system.
Yeah.
It's like It's making 0 cookies, but taking cookies out of the cookie jar.
Well, so the funny thing is
you're mad at the guy with the bigger cookie jar. He's like, dude, I saved my cookies and, I don't know, built a stronger jar. I don't know how.
Well, the funny thing is because, their checks get taxed. They think that they're paying taxes, but then they get this big refund or they get benefits or whatever. And again, I'm not, whatever. Struggling people are struggling, and it's, I'd like to help them out and do whatever, but I'm not saying any of that. But when those people who are struggling are getting mad at Amazon because they don't pay taxes, it's like, well, neither do you.
You actually you pay like negative tax.
Well,
you know what I mean?
And that's the other thing when people get mad at oil companies. Well, oil companies are getting all these subsidies. Like, well, yeah, I'm not for subsidies either. Listen, let's call it what it is. You can say that, you can use it as an argument, but I don't want them getting subsidies either. I don't want them getting subsidies, and I don't want them getting taxed to death. Like, just cut it out. Get the government out of the way. I don't know. Infrastructure bill, I get it. Infrastructure, not saying it's not important, but I mean, the whole thing is what you were saying before is government constantly creates a problem and then sells you a solution. They've been in charge of the infrastructure. Why is it so bad that we need to hike these taxes up and have 20 trillion in spending? And why? If you've been in charge of it, why is it that bad?
They got new plow trucks, dude. They buy them every year. Got new police cars. You know how many new police cars my Depew gets? It's crazy. And back, let's tie your oil thing there real quick to the infrastructure thing. Like you said, you pay for, basically, when you pay for gas, you're paying for the wear of the highway, right? They tax the gas to pay for cost and maintenance on the road and stuff. And then people tell me it's a privilege when I pay all of the things to build, sustain, and employ the people to fix it. And I'm told it's a privilege.
Yep.
You got some nerve, man. It's not a privilege. My grandfather built the road. What do you mean it's a privilege? If anything, it's my entitlement to drive on the fucking highway that my grandfather built.
That you continue to pay for.
Yeah, I pay for it, and they always talk about tolls, and then they put ones that don't have people there. So what, I can just get scanned the rest of my life? This is so arbitrary. So you're going to scan... New York State already said they're going to be cashless tolls everywhere. They just got R2-D2 scanning your license plate and sending you a receipt. Forever now. There's no chance of them tolls ever being removed.
No, and they were supposed to be.
Yeah, forever ago, 99. Burn them down, my grandfather said.
And that's, whatever. I mean, we talk national stuff, and, that's more local issue. I'm sure other places have tolls and stuff, but...
Yeah, but they're all getting fucked. And also, another thing, I'm going to piggyback this all together here. I bet you the places that the government doesn't control the highway, this infrastructure bill will allow them to control the highway. So places like, I don't know, middle America that just have like a state-ran agency or whatever, it will be federalized. Or if it's a local municipality that plows the roads, it's going to be state institutionalized now. You're going to have state troopers in areas. You're going to have state-appointed this. It's going to be a growth of government. Because if they're going to, believe me too, if they're spending $2.5 trillion to rebuild everything, what do you think the maintenance cost on $2.5 trillion is? At least $1 trillion over an X amount of years, I'm sure. Things deteriorate. So you're going to spend all this government money, so you're going to say you're going to need to employ more government officials to repair the government-made roads. So then you'll have to raise taxes on all the people that already paid for everything, that pay for the roads now. And the people that built the roads were taxed to pay the roads to begin with and build the roads. The roads have been paid for long ago. We're paying for government contractors. We're paying for government employees. And then they say...
What we're paying for, Ryan, is unelected officials.
Ooh!
Yeah.
And cashless toll booths.
And we hate...
New York State said they're a vacation state. A visitor state, rather. We get our money through people traveling here and spending money and sightseeing in Niagara Falls. And it's like, that's not a way... You can't run a state that way, dude.
Speaking of your state, I'm sure this is happening in more than one place, but this happens to be what I saw. Headlines! Erie County seeing COVID surge despite vaccines on the rise. It's kind of weird.
It's kind of weird.
Maybe people weren't getting all their second doses yet.
I don't know what to think about that, to be honest with you.
Maybe they were getting the Johnson & Johnson vaccines that were all fouled up.
Yeah, only 50, only like, I don't know, 15 million people or something I saw.
Maybe
Or
that.
I'm sorry, it was 15 million doses are getting recalled because there was like a defaulty chemical in one of them, or there was a problem with one.
That's fine. It's just getting injected into your body.
I'm glad it's FDA approved, David, so my government went through and made sure it was fine.
I'm glad that you can't sue the vaccine company for messing up their vaccine and injecting it into you.
Even though I was told I need to do this to go back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't
By the way,
and be the government?
how is the normal doing for you? I mean, you get to go outside, breathe fresh air, no mask, go into stores because you vaccinations, right?
Yeah, I can't wait for my vaccine passport. That was a conspiracy theory.
I think you called the vaccine passport. Oh man, how many episodes ago was that? Had to have been 20 episodes ago, maybe more. I want to go back and try and find what episode that was because you talked about vaccine passports as a conspiracy. It's not even that long ago. Less than a year.
It's Overton window. No, we're not going to have a vaccine passport. But like, see, the news said they're not going to have a vaccine passport. But like, see, they're not having a vaccine passport. See, this is telephone. They taught you this in elementary school. They do it with you publicly with headlines and the news. Because you, when you get your shit from the magical TV screen, you go spout your bullshit to somebody. They spout to somebody else, and then their opinion gets mixed with their opinion, and their opinion get mixed with their opinion. And then by the time I hear it and have to have a discussion with somebody about it, I'm the asshole because you don't fucking know what you're talking about. Because you let the TV tell you what to think. Of course they want a vaccine passport. I told this to my family this weekend. When you go, I go to work and I take my daughter to school. And every time I do that, I take my temperature, I get my picture taken at my job, quite frankly, which I did not know happened. What do they do with my photograph? Why do you need my photograph? I thought you were only taking my temperature. Oh, it's to verify that you took your temperature. It prints me out a sticker with a receipt of my face.
You're getting free headshots, Ryan.
Yeah, it's almost like I'm building better artificial intelligence that they're going to put in camera phones in 10 years.
Oh, they don't have facial recognition.
Yeah, you're right, David. Not yet, because that's why they're using all this research, so they only need half your face for facial recognition. You're going to be able to wear a pair of sunglasses and get figured out in public by a TV screen. Get the fuck out of here. They're building the systems that they're going to use to control you with. And I'm told that you can't say anything. It's just it's company policy. Are you is the company getting paid? Are you getting a chunk of this too, you fucking pricks? Whatever. I'm not fighting my job here. They're just doing whatever to make money. I understand. I don't want to rock a boat. I've lost my job for this, quite frankly. My point is when you go everywhere, not currently, in the past, but when you go places, they ask you, have you been anywhere outside of the state? Have you seen anybody with COVID? You ask all these questions, right? And you're always like, nope, yes, whatever it is. But you tell them, right, you don't lawfully have to give this information. There's no law. It's an executive order. There's no legislation passed by my local representatives. But when I answer these questions, I answer my HIPAA about myself, about my personal health. I ask questions about my family's health, people I know's health, strangers' health, quite frankly. I give up answers about where I've been, people I've seen. So I'm giving up my privacy, basically, inadvertently. You don't think about this, but you're admitting where you're going. So what if I do get COVID? What if I say I didn't travel outside New York State? Let's say I go to Pennsylvania and I get COVID and bring it back and somebody dies. Can you now legally hold me responsible because I said no on a COVID vaccine questionnaire or something, but then I overtly lied about it? Is this what we're paving the way forward to? These are things we don't talk about. But I'll tell you, you give up so many of your privacy questionnaires when you go places and they ask you if you've talked to anybody, if you've been out of the state, have you experienced COVID? That's none of your business. That's none of anybody's business where you go, who you talk to, and if you're medically healthy or if they were. That's no one's business. That's not American, and that's not freedom. It's not liberty. That is not. You have the illusion of freedom. When you have a questionnaire about where I've been and who I've talked to, that is a privilege.
Well, as we just discussed, some of your recent conspiracy theories have come true. the this one's quite terrifying. The legal liability of you having COVID and transferring it to me is terrifying. And they might not go after Governor Cuomo because his policies directly killed people. But who knows? Citizens are not they're not above the law like the governors are.
Yeah, because we do have a secondary judicial system. I mean, it's just so arbitrary. They govern by pen and then they enforce by gun. This is crazy, dude. This is crazy. They told businesses who they can't, how much they can and can't do, who they can and can't have. We're in the day and age about segregation and black rights and all this other positive stuff about people being segregated and voter suppression and all these other terms. But you're suppressing all the businesses, every private business, which is 80% of the effing businesses in America. Small business thrives, literally builds whole villages are built on small business. Some of them don't have a Walmart. That's why Walmart was invented, because they didn't have a big store to go to. And now those big stores are running everything. And then these government policies helps them just gut everything, man. This is a wealth transfer at some point, and the government's complicit in it. This is not a theory. This is fact. We've talked about all this stuff before. Like I said, we get on here every week and tell you about this. I mean, this is a plan. It's not by accident. They know what they're doing. They know the words they're using. They know what they're... And the state does the opposite of what they tell the private sector to do. And that is clear government hypocrisy. And then you try to disarm me, whether it be through the internet or a firearm, or just like through political speech, because I'm a right-wing extremist, because I have a redress of my grievance, and I watch the entire country burn all summer, and then some people smash a window, and some people get injured and killed, and it's a tragedy, and then it's glorified as a national, the worst day since 9/11. And I'm told to think that by the media. That's not an American opinion. That's a crafted Overton window, 1984 crafted opinion, and then people regurgitate it. It's a game of telephone.
I want to jump into something you just said, because you just mentioned the January riots, or whatever, siege, or whatever the hell they call it.
Capital siege, but there's no Black Lives Matter siege or Antifa siege on America when they have sections of CHOP and CHAZ and autonomous zone. There's an autonomous zone still. And it just has a border around it. And our border crossing is at the worst it's ever been in 15 years, but politicians can sit behind a guarded fucking fence and legislate by pen and enforce by gun?
I just think it's fascinating that they'll call out Trump and QAnon and whatever over the January 6th riots, but they don't really talk so much about this. Headlines. Man rams car into 2 U.S. Capitol Police. One officer was killed. The driver was killed by the other officer. But the thing they don't mention about the story is that he was an Islamic terrorist.
He was also a Louis Farrakhan supporter, I've seen. I don't know if that's sticking in the narrative, but that's a guy, I don't know, honestly, I don't know anything about Louis Farrakhan. I've heard things black people say about him, and then I've heard that white people say that he says kill white people. So I don't know.
He hates the whites, and he really hates the Jews, quite frankly. He's not a fan of the whites or the Jews. But that's fine, because he's Louis Farrakhan.
Well, it's also he wielded a knife, God forbid, and a car, which are both assault weapons, in my opinion. And there's going to be zero talk about harder driver's licenses. In fact, they make it easier for some people to get driver's licenses. And we never talk about how many people die from violent stabbings every year. It's kind of inconsistently. And we won't talk about Islamic terrorism because we're told it's Islamophobia, and we don't want to cause minorities to be the suppression of attack of white supremacists. Which we don't even know if all these numbers are true. We just hear about it in the media. We don't even know if it's real because they don't show us statistics, you know. They don't tell you that assault weapons kill like the least amount of people, for example. And then they always bring up that Islamic terrorists kill less people. I don't know.
Well,
I'm not trying to smash everything together, but they're so inconsistent because they're pushing a narrative. And they'll use it this guy ramming the barrier is another prime example.
And again, they'll change the language to do it because we always hear about assault weapons, but I'm sure not everyone knows that assault weapons it's not a real thing. It's a made-up term by government.
It's actually an adjective if I look at what English is, because it describes something. Assault comes before weapon. It's actually just assault is an adjective. It's describing what a noun is. The noun would be, this is so ridiculous. I'm in 4th grade again, dude. But I talked about legalese, right? That's what it means to us because we're taught English. We're taught English in ELA class in high school. And then they operate in legalese, which is, we've defined assault weapon as one word. It's not an adjective and a noun. It's one word, and it has these characteristics. That's legalese. That's the difference. That's what you live. That's why everything is in capital letters on your driver's license. There's not one lowercase letter on anything with your name on it on any kind of state document. It's a straw man. Your social security number, it's all capital letters. In conspiracy world, they make a copy of you, and they use you as leverage in the Federal Reserve Bank. But what do I know?
Yeah, again, it's just the I don't know, the definition of language, the narratives that they create, and these I don't know what to say about any of this.
Yeah, and this is obviously, people repeat this. Like I said, this is not an American narrative. This is a news narrative. This is paid television programming narrative. This is Overton window. This is 1984. That's what they have sold us, and people regurgitate it. It's so important that we talk politics today, people.
Politics, religion, and history you've added to the list.
It's reciprocal.
You talked, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, about reverse racism?
Yeah,
it's not a thing. Doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Headlines! Oakland to give $500 a month to select low-income households, excluding whites.
I'm sure those poor white people are just going to go silently into the night.
Yeah, they won't say anything.
You know, it's going to be so great when they disenfranchise them even further by labeling QAnon or Trump supporters or MAGA people or pro-America or pro-Second Amendment or white supremacy or extreme religion Christian when they snap and fucking kill the guys that are getting checks or break into their house and steal all their shit. You know, like robberies and stuff in some of these cities are all-time high. And, you know, there was that shooting in California, and I didn't get a chance to look up the numbers, but I was wondering if in that area, if they defunded the police there.
I don't know. You want to find out live on air?
Yeah, let's look it up.
Recent September 4th, Times OC. Santa Ana tried to defund the police. What happened next?
I mean, like, when you look up, like, I've done it with the shootings and crime statistics. They only have, like, from 2 years ago. They do it 2-year increments. You know, they gather 2 years of data, release it. 2 years of data, release it. So, yeah. Maybe not all the time, but I'm sure that happens at the state level. So they're not going to know the ramifications of it. But
I want to switch tones a little bit here. I don't know if you saw this. Headlines: Pete Buttigieg caught unloading bike from SUV before riding to cabinet meeting in apparent botched environmentalist photo op. So he rode an SUV like a block away from where he was going, and then he unloaded the bike from his SUV so he could appear as if he rode there on a bike.
I'm sure he was just wanting exercise, Dave.
And I'm not even going to criticize to an extent the fact that he would drive an SUV there, because I'm sure, I almost guarantee Pete Buttigieg has to be surrounded by some type of protection.
Without guns?
Oh, no, definitely guns. Guns definitely involved.
The assault type of guns? The non-assault.
The most assaulting type. I just think it's...
What do you look like? Like this! He had a pistol grip!
I find it fat. I don't know. The environmentalist thing, just shut up. Go to hell.
Talk about virtue signaling.
All those people flying around in their freaking jets. And then Pete Buttigieg catches on, or it's probably not even, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows him? Someone from his team said, you got to do this. But it's the whole idea that they don't really care about the issues. They don't care. They don't really care about the issues. They don't really care about COVID. They're out in restaurants. They don't have masks on. They don't really care. They just want you to care. They want you to be controlled. They want you to ride around in bicycles so they don't have gasoline-powered cars. They don't want you riding in SUVs. They have to have SUVs. They don't want you to have guns. Their teams have to have guns.
It's called UN Agenda 21, David. But yes, that's exactly what they want. They want you all living in a hyper city They want everybody to live in this big ass city, and they live in the country owning everything, all of the land, all the places that you rent will be owned by them. You'll rent. We've talked about this in the past. You don't own anything and everything's free. You know, that was one of your old headlines that you just show up. They have all the appliances. You basically just bring clothes and your possessions, TV, all that shit's there. Bed. You just bring your unique items. So that's all they want. They want you crammed in here. They're going to own all the farmland. Bill Gates owns most of the farmland and the most farmland. So they're going to just own all the stuff. They're going to be eating steak, real steak. You're going to be eating fake steak. You're going to be complaining that you have no power. You know, we're going to be too weak to fight back. We're going to be too disarmed to fight back. They're going to have walls. You're going to have nothing. They're going to have guns. You're going to have sticks. They're already transferring wealth. They're already transferring business power right now. They're showing you what they will do to private business if you don't comply. We'll shut your water off. They've threatened to shut people's gas off. The government. Government. They're told, I need the government to be civilized, and then the government is acting in an incivilized manner.
So we talked last week about woke supremacy. This is woke supremacy. This is you talked about how the left controls the theater. You know, they're the theater of politics because they're the cinema makers. But they want you to think that it's left versus right. They want you to think it's Republicans versus Democrats. They want you to think it's liberals versus conservatives. They want you to think all these things. When at the end of the day, it is government versus you. It's elites versus you. It is not left versus right. They want you to think that. They want the
selective. I mean, I'm piggybacking this all into my big point for the week. They're selectively giving you things so that they can extort them. That's what it is. Like you said, David, about an elitist, that's what it is. They want the educated, the non-educated. They want the privileged as far as wealth and those without wealth. And they're going to do it under the guise of religion and political affiliation and education level and salary earning. They'll do it all. They created, once again, if he's the uniter of America, how do they know how to unite America unless they know how it is explicitly divided? And they've carved all these very narrow paths for them to split us with. And you can take those political tests. They show you the division. So my big point of the week was marijuana in New York State. It is obviously now legal. Marijuana is a 15th state. There's all these rules and stipulations and everything. And I'm not going to get into our views on drugs and everything because I think we're both kind of on the same page with some of the things. But I want to talk about what I talked about last week, about rights and suffering. And how it takes suffering to actually give you freedom. Now, I can argue whether I agree with this law or not, and I'm not going to do that here. What I will say is they always talk about how minorities and black community was explicitly affected by the war on drugs, right? And how it always targeted minorities, which is true statistically.
Sure. And we can ask Kamala Harris for more reference on that if we need to.
It's true statistically. Black people get stopped. It's true, all those numbers, okay? But it took all that suffering, right? For them to be like, look at how it's affected this group of people, right? And then the government's answer is be like, okay, we're going to grant you something to kind of negate that suffering. We're going to give you a right so that it's not illegal, so that you're no longer criminals, right? That's what they did. Marijuana, New York State, when Andrew Cuomo signed that into law, people who had marijuana that night were criminals, and when you woke up, you were a law-abiding citizen. I encourage anybody who knows people who smoke marijuana, ask them, how do you feel about smoking now that it's legal? That should be a discussion we have as people right now. Okay? Because this makes me think of how it was for prohibition. What happened when they transitioned, right? Like, what was that stigma? The people that drank. We're the people that grew up that alcohol has always been legal. That's not always the case. That is now the thing with marijuana in states, and in some states they decriminalize all drugs. I think it was Oregon. But my point with it is so many people had to suffer and face, whether it be jail time or death, legal consequence. Like, people suffered for you to get a right out of it. I mean, This literally proves what I told everybody last week about civil rights and why they're so important and why we need to talk about them and why it's not something you should just like willingly give away. Like the amount of human experience to give you these things is unrelatable. It's unquantifiable. We can't put a value on it. Stories are unlimited potential, man. That's why we still talk about the Bible and mythology. You know, we learn lessons still from movies about mythology. You know, we create stories to teach you lessons. Like, we know there's intrinsic value in discussing these stories of the past. And we need to talk about why these civil liberties are important. But now I will talk about how I feel about this, because it's bullshit. It's bullshit that people are just all of a sudden okay with the government granting you some kind of privilege, because you're not gaining rights. This is not like, this is, it's a good thing, but it's done a bad way.
It's kind of weird too, because we're still in this weird area where it's still not legal federally.
Yeah, they can come, they can't, like, technically, there's all these technicalities about businesses. They can't put their money in banks and stuff because it's drug money, and yeah, there's a lot of, but there will be loopholes. They'll find loopholes. This is the whole thing, like I said, about how they legislate either proactively or, you know, too late. And there's going to be holes. It's like, why they're dumb. You know, politicians are dumb. They're not smart people. We don't hire the best lawyers. The best lawyers are not politicians. And these people are writing our laws. So, but yeah, it's a little ridiculous. I actually will write. I'll read what I wrote about it this week because I think it's funny to me. Legal weed, proof point of rights take suffering, black jail time for rights to be recognized. Fuck Cuomo and his granted privileges. Sex abuse and killing grandmother is no longer important.
No, it's the timing of everything seems.
This has been talked about for 3 years in New York State. Why pass it right now? I'm sure his polls that they're going to have in the next couple 6 to 12 months are going to be through the roof. He's created so much wealth. Look at how we were last year. Oh, when you shut the economy down to not kill people's grandparents? You motherfuckers, man. I hate that guy so much. That's all I'm going to say about legal weed. Talk to people that smoke. Ask them how they feel. Like, we need to talk about the ending of prohibition. That's what has happened. This isn't just like a thing. Like, this is a monumental human event. They're allowing you to experience more of your consciousness or dull your however you feel about it. We need to discuss this as people, privately, publicly. So,
how do you think people will feel about it?
I don't know. Is 420 a holiday anymore? I will say this. I know plenty of people in the marijuana community. Most of them don't care because they were already doing it. They were buying illegally. They were smoking illegally. It didn't matter to them.
Let's be honest, though. It wasn't... It was illegal, but quite frankly, unless you got pulled over with a shit ton of weed, you usually got let off pretty easy.
Yeah, New York State, I mean, decriminalized it, you know, not a decade ago, but, you know, it's probably on the greater side of 5 years, I would guess. Just off the top of my head. So it's been a long time coming. You know, there's plenty of pro-marijuana groups in this state that have been trying to push for this. And Kevin
was on one. I don't know if he still is.
Yeah, however you feel about the use and distribution of marijuana, I mean, we should look at hemp. You know, I hope hemp becomes a thing. That is something I've always said about the legalization of drugs and marijuana in particular. Let's look at the positives of hemp. We can make everything out of it. If it brings revenue, great. It's going to get taxed. It's going to be regulated. They didn't give you freedom. They gave you selective privileges. So, and it's just more power the state has over you. The Cuomo says where you can and can't smoke, how much you can possess, where you can grow it, how you can grow it, who can have it, whether it's for good or bad reasons. That's the realism of it. You didn't get freedom. You were just told a list of things you were told you can and can't do. That's not freedom. We've lost.
It's still, the list of things you can't do is still bigger than the list of things you can do.
Yeah, all you can do is smoke legally where cigarettes can be smoked. And this is all of the things you can't do.
Which in New York is a pretty small list.
Bullshit. It's not, you didn't gain rights, you got privileges. So enjoy them. Partake, whatever. I don't care. Yeah, do you got anything else you want to cover?
No. Do you have any Decembertainment?
Dude, you know I do, homie.
Were you December tained by the OnlyFans bad Barbie? Is it bad Barbie? Is it bad baby? What is it?
I don't know.
Cash me outside chick. She turned 18. She joined OnlyFans. She made $1 million in 6 hours.
That trend will continue and then fall off the deep end. Why we should be slut shaming? You know, I don't want a slut for a daughter. We shouldn't be shit. Beauty doesn't last, ladies.
I'm not against slut shaming, but I am also not against
girls being
sluts.
I will shame sluts, and I will
allow.
I will benefit from sluts, but I will also shame sluts. So most people call me misogynistic. That is a title I wear proudly. Decembertainment, first and foremost. I bought a knife. I'm a pocket knife wearer. So maybe we can do December product reviews. Maybe that will be a thing.
Maybe.
It's a pretty cool knife. I don't like spring-assisted blades. I don't know how you feel or if you're a pocket knife wearer.
No.
So for me,
I usually have one concealed illegally in my car at some point.
It's probably not illegal. Another misconception people have about blades. You can't own a knife if it's so long. It's a lie. Your kitchen knives are longer than most pocket knives. Don't tell me you can't own long blades. It's ridiculous. I don't like spring-assisted blades, so it's hard for me to find actually pocket knives. This is a Gerber. I don't know the name of it. So yeah, I've rocked pocket knives for about a decade, maybe longer, as everyday carry. I'm looking forward to this. This has got like a different grip, and yeah, I haven't been without one. I had a knife. I bought one from my father and I, matching knives, and it broke. So I've been without a pocket knife, but I stopped slacking. Decembertainment this week. I was told to watch Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Okay.
The Marvel Disney series. I did not get a chance to. My friend Corey suggested it to me. I hope to watch it this week. He wanted me to talk about it because apparently there's some political kind of discourse in.
Oh, I can't even imagine that Disney would do such a thing.
And it deals with black people getting mortgages, which whatever I forget what it was called, but yeah. Anyway, so I will get to that, Corey. I'll let you know. But I did watch Kong vs. Zilla last night.
No, did you?
Yeah. Have you seen it?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna say
Is it better than most recent Godzilla?
I haven't seen. I haven't seen.
Older Godzilla stuff I thought was super cool.
It was corny as shit though. So how do you think it's super cool but the new stuff sucks?
Because I don't know, man. It's just it's a feeling you have. Like when you watch something you're like, yeah, I can do it.
That's like what they try to do with Star Wars, but they failed, right? Like that nostalgic. Like when you watch it in the theater, you're supposed to be transplanted to when you're a 10-year-old kid again. Waking up on Saturday mornings watching your favorite cartoon or whatever. You know.
Well, I guess Star Wars is similar too because I kind of like. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say everyone agrees, but don't most people agree that the original 3 were kind of a lot better than most of the newer 3, and then especially what's been coming out lately?
Honestly, dude, I think Episode 3 is the best Star Wars. It's my favorite. Episode 3 and Episode 5 are my favorite Star Wars. 5's probably better because it's older, right? Like the nostalgic. Because I grew up on the old Star Wars. You know,
we can agree Episode 1 is abysmal.
Not as abysmal as Episode 7. All right, back to Kong, goddammit. Fuck Star Wars. Kong vs. Zilla. I know this is an extended universe movie now. I tried watching 2 Godzillas, never made it through. I never saw Kong Skull Island. I wouldn't have spent money to see this. I was at my uncle's house, and he's a Godzilla fan. He got me into Godzilla as a kid. I stopped watching Godzilla up to like Godzilla 2000. But I had like VHSs of Godzilla that were like the Japanese, where their mouths would stop moving.
Oh yeah,
but the words would keep going. And gosh, yeah, Rob.
It's not racist. It's just.
That's true.
It's just how it was.
It's how I grew up. That's the Godzilla I grew up on as a 90s boy. This is not cultural appropriation. So it's on HBO Max. My uncle, I was over at his house. Appreciate him having me over. We had some beers. We had some laughs. We hung out as a family. It was a cool moment, bonding moment. But I had that nostalgic, man. I don't know if you plan on watching it. It's cool. I kind of saw the ending happened. I had to suspend my disbelief for the movie, but I enjoyed it. It was highly entertaining. Special effects are incredible. Honestly, there was one part of the movie I really liked, and it involved the little girl in the movie. I really thought it was a good dynamic. If I look at like the ideas of script writing and like trying to write something and then make it, like I understand parts of those processes. So like that's how I watch movies, is like I think about why they have characters and why they develop certain ways and how they affect other characters. I enjoy doing that with film and other things. But the little girl segment of that movie I think shined. I thought it was humility. It was beautiful. Might be catch me a hot soft spot because I have a daughter. But yeah, if you got HBO Max, man, check it out. I wouldn't discourage you from watching it. It'd probably be a good time for you and the kid, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Short of that, man, I don't got anything else. I hope you have a good Easter. We're recording this on Friday, which we normally don't do. Saturday. Oh, Jesus. I'm thrown off. I was off on Friday. My point, my father's birthday is actually on Sunday as well.
Happy birthday to the biggest weekly show fan.
Yeah, my number one fan. Love you, Pop. Thank you.
You should sing happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, homie, for me. You ever see Don't Be a Menace in South Central while drinking juice in the hood?
Yeah.
That's a real movie title.
It really is, and it's tremendous, by the way. It's the best of. It's the Wayans brothers, right?
Yeah, if you want like goofy, like I'll say black culture humor, it's good. There's plenty of good stuff in there. Yeah, but my dad's birthday's on Sunday as well, so I hope you have a good Easter. We plan on going fishing in the morning. I'm gonna hang with the kid, and yeah, just enjoy the rest of the weekend, man. I bid you all farewell. This has been December 17th, 73. I'm Ryan, joined with Dave as always, and I'll catch you all next week. Tune in for our premieres on Mondays at 7 Eastern. And
we never really mentioned that. It's Eastern, 7 Eastern. I just say 7 and assume everyone lives on the East. If you don't live on the East, I apologize.
Or if you live in another country, considering I influenced New Zealand's elections.
We did. For our one New Zealand listener, I don't know what time it is for you. Just check the channel and see. I don't know.
I really hope it's Peter Jackson. I love that guy. I'd love to meet him. He's the director of Lord of the Rings, if you didn't know that.
I'll admit, I did not know that.
Yeah, guy's tremendous. He did a bunch of other movies, but Lord of the Rings made him super mainstream success, and not to mention he did a phenomenal job.
I'm sure that's who it is.
Greatest movies ever made. Yeah, I'll stop rambling. Like, comment, subscribe. You like the video, share the video, all that fun jazz. Notification bell. I don't even know anymore. It doesn't matter. They suppress us. I know it. Fight the good fight, people. Hold on. I'll do my Jones. They're fearful of this program. They're trying to shut it down.
And then sell me a vitamin supplement of some type.
This colloidal silver will get out the... I bought a colloidal silver. I got to love with you.
Oh, we're ending it. It's over.
Only supplement I ever bought from them. I do buy Jocko Willing supplements though. Just one of those, and I buy his protein powder. Those are phenomenal. I am not endorsed by any product I promote on this program. But I will look forward to your emails, Gerber and Jocko.
Yeah.
Fuck Cuomo. Alright, dude, I'll catch you later.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.